going to be quite as effective as well, just with all of the lockdown that they've got. As long as you just catch out one and continuously focus that one hero, have a good amount of lockdown potential there. Hell, even just with the silence on the Queen of Pain as well, with the Aghanim Shard.
How is this lane going to go here for Alacrity versus the Quap? Because being a ranged melee matchup, it can always be a little bit rough, and Queen of Pain is, you know, one of the best heroes at least being able to dominate a lane like this one. So you feel like Alacrity might struggle a little bit? Could this be a weakness for the Meepo that they can penalize?
Potentially. I mean, the thing is, if you're having a rough time in the lane with a Meepo, you always have the luxury with that boost to be able to go back to the jungle and be able to, you know, catch up in farm in that way. And that's how you emerge on the map with just so much more levels, kind of like a TA does. But they've done a good job in making sure that that camp is blocked up. So that's not going to be the case for Alacrity. But if he's... Actually, no, they went and de-watered it. So good preemptive movement coming through there by Nigma Galaxy to make sure Alacrity does have that way to ensure he's getting his farm when he's bullied out of the lane a little bit.
They did block up the hard camp though around the triangle, so Radiant, they've come into this with a game plan of looking to really shut down Alacrity's Meepo, and it does kind of feel like though Nigma Galaxy maybe don't have the best supports to get as many stacks up at one time. Like it's nothing like a Grim or a Coddle that can, you know, chuck an ability out from far and stack camps multiple times.
It is a little bit different. Just want to see how In Your Dream is going to itemize as well. You know, he's going into the double brace. Position 1 Conquer, not the first thing that you see all the time. On the top side with Paulson, who's making a little bit of a move here onto red, but good job of making sure a lot of the pressure is taken off of his Conquer, giving him the easiest possible lane that he can. Alacrity just trying to get his own stacks up. Ohio a little bit slow with the rotation through, so going to deny, not going to secure that water rune. Unfortunately, it was the Vul Assassin that had hit him beforehand, so he got a lot less health back than he would have liked from that water rune.
We've always been a really big fan of Mizu on the 3. Polisan falling pretty low here. Looks like red with one more right click from the Grim Show. We'll have our first kill of Division 2, the Winter Tour. Spawn.496 to pick that up.
You love to see it. I mean, that's the sort of play that you want to be able to start things off. Again, like 496, for a long time, you know, they were in Division 1 of the first ever season of this new and improved DPC. But ever since then, it just felt like they've kind of been dropping off little by little. They've had players individually go on to have a good performing role in other teams, such as Hustler, now on OB Neon, but unfortunately for them, just as a team, their results haven't really matched up. So to be able to grab that first blood gives a nice little... just to know that you're not the one to give up the first death in this new season.
How do we feel like Mizu's able to shine here with the Earthshaker? Because this has been a player that we've been such a fan of when we saw him, you know, come into this position 3 role, and I don't believe we've seen him on the Earthshaker. Like, I know it's been a hero that was only played as a 3 a little bit more at TI, so we haven't had as many opportunities to see Mizu maybe pull it out, but do you feel this could be in his wheelhouse for the heroes that we love to see him on?
Potentially. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's quite as active as the heroes that Mizu typically does like to play. You know, like, he does make a lot of things happen, but it's with quite big frequency. So, you know, the team fight ability is always there, and then he's able to just go back, you know, maybe farm a couple of camps, but then immediately go back in and team fight. Earthshaker is very different. You know, you've got this huge cooldown ultimate that you're basing your entire game plan around. You're not quite as easily able to farm safely on the map as well. Sometimes they put Mizu in harm's way just because he's playing a hero like, you know, the Darkseer or the Brewmaster, and they're able to get to safety just through their innate toolkit. But Earthshaker doesn't have that luxury.
Does seem like a lane though where both cores are getting a decent amount out of it. Those T's been solo for quite some time. Surprised that actually Ohio is level 3, because he's been kind of, you know, scurrying around trying to get information down to where Alacrity's farming, and again you're just seeing the awareness.
So he's gone on a little bit, and that minus armor starting to stack up. He's gone into the negatives now, so Ohio to deal a decent amount of damage. Yeah, the reason he got up to level 3 is because he went and put that sentry ward up next to the small camp, so there was an observer ward there, so he got all that solo experience for himself.
Mid lane.
Alacrity.
Yeah, they dropped the ultimate. Alacrity. It might
need to
just tick
deny
out.
himself.
Extra regen to Nuff. He goes for the deny. Oh, it was just so close. I think 1 point in dagger, honestly. Maybe if with the extra point there, might have been enough to tick him out after he tried the deny, but you kill off the Meepo. Unfortunately, you don't get claimed the kill for it though for the Queen of Pain. And bottom lane, they're on top of Ghost too. Ohio's gonna start this swing on over. Maybe a bit of a deterrent here is Nigma Galaxy. Happy with trading up the resources early from Ghost, but he's definitely a hero that is pretty survivable with already 3 points and a Vampiric Spirit, so we'll have a lot of regen.
I'm liking the fact that Zillow, you know, obviously the couple of points in the Shadow Strike is nice if you're able to get the kill onto Alacrity, but, you know, clearly he's just wanting to emphasize the Scream of Pain as much as possible. He's going to be looking to get really active throughout the map, just constantly shove these waves in, and even just like he did, steal away some of these camps from the Meepo.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, maybe going for more points in Scream, you could smoke up early, or because we've already seen the Grimstroke try and scout out if there's any stacks as Ghost. Will be okay. Yeah, like the Grimstroke should have been hunting through the jungle, keeping tabs on any stacks there. So maybe this will be an easier time for Silen just to swing on over and then potentially take them.
It's a good amount of damage being put into the mid-tier 1 tower as well, about a quarter of the HP. So happy to be able to grab that when your pushing lineup at this stage isn't quite where it needs to be. Obviously, Red is getting close to that level 6, and it's not going to be around the first siege creep timing, but that'd be a pretty damn good game if you had.
Kill Red. In your dream is they do have an observe ward at least from Radiant, so pressure on Alacrity possible. In your dream's force is more of a defensive boat, just get that run buff popping. And now with the rotation from Polisan as well, they'll turn it back around on the Queen of Pain, blink on cooldown. And that'll cost him his life as Alacrity 4 points in, the proof is plenty, a burst.
Need is the second Meepo to be able to get all of that damage out in pretty quick succession, but
Ghost as well. Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens. You make such a big rotation to be able to counter the Pop's rotation through, but Ghost is going to be going down the first time. He has the reincarnation, but you always hate having it popped this early on just because it's down. Punish you quite heavily.
Do you think about now sending maybe In Your Dream down bottom? And just try and put pressure on the tower, or maybe all put pressure on Ghost? It looks like this catapult wave, you're going to lose it, but knowing reincarnations on cooldown feels like a big window to really limit the farm that Ghost can get.
Yeah, for me, if they were able to rotate quickly enough, by the way, he's trying
yeah. Phantom Embrace, not another at the moment, so Mizzy will turn and drop a huge Echo Slam. The damage stacking up on the creeps, and now Yorkham, thanks to the haste. Time! A beautiful rotation should net themselves 2 kills thanks to a huge ultimate from the Earthshaker.
Oh,
Job 1 is juking through the tree line. There's no way. Okay. Oh, you get the kill on Ghost. You take it. But a little bit of silver linings.
Admiral is on board.
Go Bon. Imagine if that Tidebringer just clipped him. That would have been such an anticlimax. All right, rotation up top here from Alacrity. They're just looking to get really aggressive here. I like the fact that Mizu is, you know, not just wanting to sit back and farm. He's wanting to connect constantly together with this Meepo. Make sure, because he is the win condition, right, for the team. So you can't just sit back and be passive. All of these rotations need to be winners from Alacrity. And so far, outside of one, they have been. Nice little stacks here starting to build up.
What do we feel like Radiant can do to really prevent this win condition coming online? Is it maybe Dragon Knight converting a lot of early towers, a solid blink timing? Does Silen need to be the huge tempo controllers we see a lot of from the position 2s? Like, what are the key points here from Spawn.496?
I'd say, honestly, all of the above. The big thing that they need to be playing around next is this 10-minute catapult wave, because Dragon form is 40 seconds off cooldown. It'll hit basically right when the siege creep hits that mid lane. The important part is taking away this jungle from Nigma Galaxy C, because they've got a couple of heroes that are really good at taking it, both the Meepo and the Kunkka. So if you're going to be able to take away a lot of those easy access points, a lot of those easy places where you can TP to try and save if you invade the jungle, then it's going to go a long way towards securing a win. But I think Nigma Galaxy realizing that, you know, they lost the top tower, it's reaching that sort of timing where they could look to make these rotations through. They're taking all the stacks already.
Radiant's
So
bottom tower
Lackley
has
took the
got
ones
problems.
inside their own jungle. He's taking the ancient stack now, so at least they'll secure that farm and not have it stolen away from them.
I think for Dire, we might see a little bit of difficulty with how they can start fights pre-Mizu Blink. It's going to be very reliant on Radiant overcommitting into like an X or Fissure, or even Meepo somehow getting in range for the ensnare. But until you've got Hookshot, of course, but if that's on cooldown, and you're putting a lot of dependency anyway on a support to have perfect positioning as Mizu. Run up that high ground, my friend. It's that. Zillion will even rotate over just to secure the extra damage. Mizu bursts it down. Benito Dream's looking to get involved as well. Another defensive goal. Is it going to be enough to keep Paulison alive? So it looks like it'll be a 2-for-1 trade. Yorkam looking to get involved as well. They'll make it work for it once again. Tide bring off the creep. He'll go for it, and he'll get it. Beautifully done in your dream. Like we said, a 2-for-1 though, but the big kills aren't there on the Meepo. Alacrity's continuing to free fall.
And this Elder Dragonfall wasn't used at all to take this mid tower. That's the other downside. So yes, get rid of Mizu, that's great, but he's able to just respawn quite quickly and go straight on back to farming, although a little bit more troublesome if he does get dived. I think he feels quite safe playing next to that tier 2 tower at the moment, but yeah, they've missed that timing around that siege creep wave, and like he's mentioned before, Alacrity was able to take another set of ancients. I believe it was stacked once as well, so his farm is just going to continue to rise.
Apollo shot in. It's got the backup damage thanks to the Mortimer Kisses. They feel content with getting rid of the reincarnation. Up for 200 seconds. There was a smoke though. Maybe Paulson did he place any observer wards for that? No, so I guess reincarnation for it. Maybe they'll look to smoke shortly once Mizu gets blinked, but that should still take some time, and by then I think reincarnation will be back up.
Alright, so bit of a look at what might next be on the agenda. We've got a couple of armlets picked up. One 496's side and one for In Your Dream. He's also got the double damage available, so he's dealing a good amount of damage right now. Got the level 10 as well, so that plus 30 damage coming from talent. If they wanted to make any kind of rotations, they absolutely could. Maybe just wanting to wait for Alacrity to pick up that Blink Dagger, because him and Mizu, they're getting closer to it, and they are prioritizing Mizu's farm. Like I mentioned before, they've got good heroes to be able to take jungle camps, but the Earthshaker is not one of them just yet, not quite as efficient. So just putting him in the safest spot on the map, in that Radiant dead lane, giving him a lot of farm towards that Blink Dagger. He has to make sure he doesn't overstay his welcome though.
So how worried would you be right now that Spawn.496 aren't really contesting Alacrity's farm? Like, are they going to match maybe once the Meepo tails off as the game goes later and later?
I feel like, I mean, the Meepo does tail off, sure, but I feel like you don't have an insane scaling lineup either, right? It's not this dual farming core. A Queen of Pain, even though Zillion's had a pretty good early game, kind of with the way that QoP is now, if you're not having a good early game, you've done something wrong, right? Like, you've got so much more sustain for the laning stage, and while it's good that a lot of your stuff does pierce through the BKB, you've always got that blink for the inbuilt movement, it just doesn't feel like they're getting enough out of the map just yet. And the only reason that they're able to, sit back and farm like this is because, again, there's that safety net of the tier 1 tower that if you were looking to dive inside the triangle, you have a lot of abilities that are really good in such close quarters. The Mortimer's Kisses, the Echo Slam, the boat. You don't want to be walking up into darkness, and by the Dire team having their tower there, so rough.
It's coming down, looking for the blinker reel. A little bit far out here, but it definitely feels go time for Dire. Like, Blink just picked up on Alacrity and Mizu. Where do we want to aim for next? Is this maybe a smoke behind a hero pushing tier 1 mid that they can potentially bait? Do you think about maybe getting some wards down bottom and targeting your forces there?
Well, it looks like they are going to smoke up and go for a bit of a rotation, trying to maybe find Ghost on his Wraith King. He's actually looking to farm on the Dire side of the map. They probably aren't going to be looking there. They'll just see the camps that have been farmed so far. Maybe they'll guess up top, but they'll also just look to wait, try and bait this out a little bit here, because it is approaching that 15-minute mark as well. Should have seen, yeah, they immediately drew. They saw the direction that rocket flare came from. So immediately there was the drawing on the map just saying, look, they're smoked here. And they should be able to set up to try and defend this, but they don't have the strongest time to be able to do this. You know, they know if they're going for a smoke, it's because they've hit some timing. So I like the fact that 496 aren't really looking to contest this all that much. They might try and make a bit of a play towards the bot side.
Where did
the Elder Dragon
Tower go?
And the Blink Dagger is up as well on red, but being a little bit too passive for mine.
It definitely feels like Radiant's way to initiate fights and take team fights in general is a bit of a concern. Like, I have an overwhelming amount of stuns and big team fight ultimates as well, where it might be really difficult for Spawn.496 to contest that once we head to the mid game, because Nigma Galaxy, they're ready to rock and roll. They've hit their items, and you see how they're posturing. Paulson, he's just gonna pop the smoke. He's got some heroes in the backline as well. Beautiful coax the place for the boat, dropping down straight on the heads of two heroes, and over the top, Echo Slam on 4, overwhelming amounts of damage, and the rest of Nigma Galaxy, they're looking for the cleanup crew. Alacrity prioritizing the Queen of Pain, making sure there's no escape. And with the backline as well, Snapfire's just gonna put his body on the line to prevent any disengage, but the rest of Nigma Galaxy a little bit slow to connect, so I mean, what was looking like a disastrous start to the fight, it's somehow a 3-for-2 trade.
Radiant's middle tower is
it's a
under
3-for-2 trade, but again, there was the Elder Dragon form used, right? So they're still going to be lacking that form of tower push, Ghost TP back, so it's not like you for that Radiant. So obviously that's going to be quite nice against the Meepo, just to take away some of that burst potential. But I mean, it feels a little odd that they were allowed to do that, right? Because you know that they were in the area previously. You saw the clockwork rocket flare come from that area. You could probably assume that that's going to be warded up there, but they didn't go for the initial D-ward. Finally, now they do get it. But yeah, an absolute disaster for another great team fight ultimate coming from Mizu. But the downside is it's going to be another 100 seconds until he's able to do it again.
Aspect speaking about though, like, how are you going to be able to contest to it? I have a lot of ways to force Radiant to clump together. Like, you're not just relying on Mizu to start fights, and that's like the most ideal game for an Earthshaker, where you're not forced to be the initiator and the counter initiator.
And I was just talking about before, like, why they didn't really want to try and invade and take away some of Alacrity's farm, because it's great to be fighting around choke points. We saw what just happened in that narrow little choke point, right? You just clump together, you get a great cogs off, and it just sets up for a fantastic Echo Slam coming through.
All things are clicking at the moment though for Nigma Galaxy. Still got this tier 1 tower up, and you're against the Dragonite, you're against the Wraith King. They're playing into the late game, it looks like you were saying, building for the Radiance, but this could give a huge window though for Nigma Galaxy to take an early Roshan. I mean, Wraith King is definitely not at a stage where he's able to combat that, and if you get an early Aegis, your outer towers just might to really crumble.
Maybe they want to take the tier 1 tower on the top side beforehand, just because, you know, you've got some good abilities to impact the team fights. If the supports, for example, do need to buy back, Stroke of Fate, just swarm if one of those heroes gets picked up nice and early. So
Paulson, it's got to be on point. Zilana is making them work for it. And you see, we haven't really felt too much of the impacts early for the quad. 1, 2, and 2. Farming up relatively well. Nothing that can compete with the Meepo's farming speed, but it's going to go for a build that Alacrity actually kind of likes to go here with the Queen of Pain. You know, the early Sunjin Kaya. BKB will, you know, potentially see like the Aghanim Shard at a decent rate. It's not this Orchid Queen of Pain that you are really relying on snowballing kills.
Yeah, I feel like the Sunjin Kai is just going to be overall quite useful, right? Like it seems like they're avoiding going BKBs for the most part. Like item BKB, it seems like for most of them. But Stroke going into the Aghanim Shard next kind of combats that a little bit, right? You've got that somewhat layer of save if a Meepo is going in on top of you. You've also got a ton of healing that's going to be able to get out onto whichever target Alacrity tries to focus on.
help Conquer. Love to see it. Just keep it back, clear the wave, keep pushing the tower.
Gonna keep the rack going though, and he knows that Conquer's not able to join this, so the question for him is, well, who's gonna punish me? It's not a Conquer, so how are they looking to start a team fight outside of that? Especially now that Ghost is on. But they're just gonna look to trade. I would say that 496 are probably gonna be happy with this though, if they are able to get the tower, that is.
Are those cracks in
Another
Dire's
smoke.
top tower?
Top because they caught out. Ghost under the T2 tower. Between the reincarnations, still without the Radiance complete. It's a big power spike that they're lacking at the moment here for the Wraith King. And push it back, but still the perfect fidget placement. Make sure there's no retreat for the Wraith King and Dragonite as well. Will lose his life as Nigma Galaxy once again surround the heroes.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they were going for that, right? Because, you know, you have to trade if the enemy team's going for your T2 tower, and this one is higher value because we still haven't had the first Roche outside of now that they're looking to go for. So it opens up a big opportunity for them to take it. See the case though, is that a Echo Slam used just to be able to get the Weaver kill? I don't hate it, you know, it gives away the potential to maybe snipe away the Aegis. I don't know, maybe Mizu's just getting a little bit greedy, and some of that carry mentality coming back into his mind.
Yeah, I hate as well. I mean, I was just going to highlight that Mizu hasn't really progressed too much with his farm after the blink, but, you know, a kill like that is going to help out. And I just got about 2k gold in the bank. Well, for a pretty early BKB here. Do you like this on Mizu? Is this just more like a core Earthshaker thing instead of going like an Aghanim Shard for some utility?
I think he just wants to make sure he's not completely useless if the Queen of Pain, for example, is able to get back onto him. So you don't want to be able to just pop that and then kind of force the Queen of Pain to choose another target. And by doing that, you've maybe given the rest of your team time to be able to create some space for themselves so that they're not getting burst down.
Ghost has finally found this Radiance, but it is 21 minutes in. And you've given a big opportunity for Nigma Galaxy as well. Down bottom, on top of Queen of Pain, Alacrity and Mizu. There's the 1-2 punch they can provide across the map. It makes it so difficult for the Quap to be this mode we see so often. And now as soon as they get that pick off Nigma Galaxy, the awareness that this is a big window where we can just look to occupy Radiance territory and really minimize how much farm they can get.
Yeah, they were wanting to play a little bit more passively, just maybe waiting for those big cooldown ultimates to become available. That's why they only really took the fights around their own objectives. But now that the Echo Slam's only about 30 seconds away, they take away the outpost, and they're looking to just get the siege going with the Meepo.
They're also setting up for Ghost. They're starting to follow him. Like, he doesn't have a game, though. Yeah, he's got, like, still, he's farming okay. But you got like 3 heroes consistently chasing across the map, and I'll tell you what, the contrast between Meepo and how safely he's been farming and the Wraith King is just completely night and day. Like, Radiant have put almost no pressure on Alacrity, where it's been the opposite for Wraith King's game.
And the thing is with the Wraith King as well, just because of how relatively mobile they are with their heroes and the good catch that they've got on Nigma Galaxy, all it really takes is Polison on his clockwork to move up towards the top. And I think that's 3 times now that Ghost has just had to completely abandon the top side of the map, even though that's probably the safest place he can be right now. Jokev, this would be a free kill if they're able to pick it up, but preemptive Fisher coming out there from Mizu just to prevent some of that aggression.
I mean, we've seen DK blink for quite some time now, and I didn't even know he had the blink. Like,
yeah,
I have not seen Redmaker play. This is an issue. Like, we were bringing up that Spawn.496 are going to need to get really good conversion with the blinks and take early towers to really diminish some of the early farm and just the snowballing that Nigma Galaxy C will get. But this is what happens with a Meepo lineup. You come out ahead, you're a little bit greedy early on, you get first Ages, and now your map control is just this chokehold. It's firm now.
Played as well, so any target that gets found is immediately picked off. They want to make sure that they're making their plays
like Ghost
before these BKBs come up.
And he's close to the tower, but Dire swing on over. Mizu sets up once again. They've laid down enough damage to bring down the first life, and now ready, they need to react. Before staff getting him out of harm's way. Some nice reinforcements, but you've got to be cautious. Alacrity, that's a peculiar angle into the fight. From the middle lane, he goes on top of the tier 3 tower. Get rid of the Queen of Pain. You've got to be cautious about the buyback for Mizu again. Drops the echo onto 3. The damage is so so much for Spawn.496 to deal with. They've killed off the first life, but they gotta be cautious about how deep you go. You're really inside Radiant's territory. You don't want to throw this lead you have. The ultimate's starting to dwindle. Alacrity feeling powerful nonetheless, though. It's going to continue to push Radiant back further and further inside the base. And no one on Nigma Galaxy has died.
One's dying. They just only had about a minute left on it. A little odd that they didn't opt to try and stay and take that out just because you'd used all of your big ultimates already to try and take them out. So the AoE damage was gone. The Grimstroke wasn't going to be alive for another 20 or so seconds, but they're just going to take the safer route, continue to go back. Again, you've got the lead, you've got the map control, so just try and extend your farm a little bit further. This is the DPC, not the one where you need to be taking any kind of drastic risk. Now, though, that Mizu's been able to land that great teamfight ultimate, it's really what is become more and more known for throughout the Southeast Asian region as this off-lane presence.
Yeah, it's never too fun recently when you're playing into Mizu's position 3. The amount of times we've seen this man turn a game completely around.
We just have to highlight this again, though, right? Like, you picked a Dragon Knight with a Wraith King draft, I believe. And, oh, we got a pick off here. Maybe on
kind
a
of
higher.
fishing.
But, like, it's 20, let's say. You're still not level 12 on red. You haven't made any plays happen with that Blink Dagger, and mid and bottom tier 1 towers are still alive. Like, that is not where you want to be right now. At least now he's got level 12, but it's so far behind.
Trying to get anything that came out of the map. Ghost in.
Radiant's top tower is under
Still, it's excellent though, and they have to force in. Like, using that item aggressively feels so awkward when you need that replacement out of Cogs or out of like Fissure for the Kisses setup. And how close to BKBs are we? That really feels like maybe that's the one big fight we're waiting here for Spawn.496. Like, Ghost needs that, Quap needs that. They feel strong though. Look at how they're posturing. I mean, Ghost is in the middle of the map. You'll just evaporate Polson. Oh, signs of life here from Radiant. They're going to X-drag you back though, so Ghost is still in no man's land at the moment. Playing around with the reincarnation possibility, keeping Nigma Galaxy on their toes.
Super close to the BKBs though, right? They're basically like one component on all of the DK, Quap, and Wraith King. So, it feels a little bit difficult for mine for them to try and come back into this still. Look at that. A BKB on the position 5 Clockwork.
He's so far. How is he so far? He's 71. How's he got 71 last hits actually? He's out flare first, yeah.
And probably the skeletons as well.
That's true. I have seen him get a couple of nice little bounties from the shovel. He's got Philosopher's Stone too.
They smoked under the Observer Ward right then in the mid lane. So let's see how 496 are going to look to try and respond to this. Elder Dragon Form's running out. He's using it to try and farm, get close to that BKB.
He's kind of just in a baiting position right now. See if he can dangle one of the heroes from Nigma Galaxy to heavily commit.
Jackpot!
I was actually talking with a few people about this in recent times with the, you mentioned the Clockwork going the Rocket Flare build first. I don't hate it. I feel like it gives you a lot more net worth. It means that you can push out waves that are a little bit more unsafe to farm. And the damage that it racks up over the course of a team fight is pretty damn significant. 12-second cooldown with the talent and 200 damage over an AoE, like that, 1,000 damage in a team fight is pretty damn significant.
Ghost. He's actually just gonna man up right now. Going straight to the triangle.
And it's
A little pop an early BKB. They're playing very smooth at the moment, making sure they don't get all grouped up. But guys, exactly, that's early reincarnation. Have to use the defensive BKB. Ghost trying to reset the fight, but now with the BKBs expiring, Six gonna have to look to get out of the area. As Musa can hold them back. Dropping the Acros lane once again. Alacrity should have plenty of damage to follow up in our Radiant. How can they turn this back around? Capo, about half health still to play with, but the damage is starting to lack without Ghost nearby, so they can turn. Cerulean's actually going to jump in, dropping the Sonic Wave. This is a window that they weren't expecting, as Nigma Galaxy C heavily commit at the top side of the map. They'll lose 2 at the moment. Anything more they can... get out of it though. Yeah, Mizu will be found in the tree line red. He's lacking the stun though. Unfortunately, only 3 points Dragon Tail. It doesn't have the lowest duration with that cooldown.
It's another good play coming through from the Queen of Pain there, Silern. Even making sure that he's jumping behind so that Sonic Wave pushes him a little bit further away from the rest of the team. So you might not get that that cooking save or things of that nature. So good play. It felt like something that was absolutely necessary to happen though, because again, Red, he's had to pop the Elder Dragon form for that and he wasn't able to get any objectives. So you didn't lose your base, great. But now you need to actually do something with it. It's going to get them a lot closer towards those BKBs. You would have to think that after they secure some of these neutral items and wait for their cooldowns to become available again, that's when 496 is going to make their real move. Because if they don't, this game feels like it's in the arms of Nigma Galaxy.
It does feel like though, like we've seen Spawn.496 get a couple of pickups these past couple of fights that they've shown. They've shown some prowess to maybe get a kill with the BKB starting to be picked up, and if they go for like a 2-1 trade next fight and maybe only lose Grimstroke or DK even, they could definitely take Roche, and then all of a sudden you might delay this game by an extra 5-6 minutes, and then maybe that could be an extra way for you to go later and later to really have Ghost starting to get more items.
So another smoke that was, I believe, under vision given
they're coming over. Galaxy see the Queen of Pain once again raiding. A little bit split. So Mizu's gonna find the angle. Just evaporates the Grimstroke. Mizu, a cheeky solo kill for him. He's got the Arcane Rune in the arsenal. So Fissure's back up. Goes completely trapped until higher. He's able to reposition him. Roche is up, and with Grimstroke down for 60, this should be pretty free.
Grim down for 60, you've got the vision, so they're going to need to make sure that they make a smoke play if they are going to try and contest this. But right now, as soon as Ghost reveals that he's just farming in the lane, you're not all that concerned about any kind of team fight. Like Queen of Pain, Siller's been taking really good fights, but you just can't do it solo.
So is this a new Ag shot?
Who dis?
Wait, what? The Meepo's Ag shot.
Yeah, the fling. It had like the...
What is this?
It has the Sven Stormhammer animation, or at least it did when I last tested it.
Wait. Have you seen it in action? You want to give maybe the viewers and me an explanation? Because I did not know.
Just read what it says, you know? I feel like that's the best way to do things in Dota. It's just like hurling a version of yourself at another version of yourself.
Right. Very cool ability. Interesting. Is there no one else you'd be like, yeah, let's give the shard to them? Like, yeah, I mean, come on, Jetpack. Come on, I know you like the shards on supports. You gotta try and make a case here.
All right, bear with me. They bait out the fact that Mizu's Blink Dagger is on cooldown, and then you, divided we stand, throw him into a team fight and use that as your initiation.
Wait, can you throw a teammate?
The Bling U
pauses that. What the heck? What is this shot?
You have to do it on a target though. It's not just like on the ground.
What's the range?
So...
Oh, it's all right. 900. Okay, that's honestly not too bad. 900 is pretty far.
It's honestly mostly used for the save potential, right? Like one Meepo is getting low, so you throw him out of the team fight, and then, you know, try and use your poop to get away with more healthy heroes.
Setting up top, Heck to reveal. Oh my god, Meepo's damaged. So much for Ghost to deal with. But Ohio still doesn't have the arguments as well, so a BKB TP out with Polison. Oh, he's trying to find the angle.
Ohio did really well there. The body blocks, making sure the hook shot wasn't able to get through. Might end up costing him his own life.
And it will. They're running straight to Silent down bot though.
They're able to do.
The Yokem under the ward. Rest of Radiant also coming over, but Yokem and Co have awareness of this. They have had a really good control of this game in regard to the vision. I mean, Rocket Flare, of course, is an exceptional way to scout out, but when you've always had this much map control, you can just make it that much easier to have these aggressive wards. I honestly would really like to see Die hold a gem. Like, I feel like this is still an item that is completely undervalued, and you've had so much net worth, just continue to choke them out.
true. I suppose the only downside to that is you don't really give that back to them. You know, when it's a 20k net worth lead, if you're able to put it on, let's say, a Clockwork, who's going to be using the rocket flare just to make sure he's scouting those high grounds, it can feel a little bit sucky. That essentially like a 2,000 net worth swing, right? Because you're losing 900 in their game.
Double damage.
Ghost once again farming incredibly deep here across the map. I mean,
it's like, just look at the dire vision, right? It's just completely cutting off any kind of avenues to move forward, even getting the plate mail.
so is this just a slow death here for Spawn.496, or what are we waiting for them to maybe look for their next smoke attempt and head outside the base and take a fight?
Good question. I mean, for me, again, it's going to be on Zillow as well as Xiaobo.
Oh, Mizu, don't do it. Echo dropped. He's got the DD damage, but the chain control's a little bit light. So Cop's going to go for a BKB. TP will be fortunate enough, so Echo on cooldown.
BKB on cooldown, though, which is pretty significant.
Not much
Just gonna brute force up.
Radiant's
They've got to eat this for another 50 seconds.
I guess
Try and do
Radiant
some
can
works and some damage on top of the tier 3 tower. Maybe force some rotations back. Still then, Echo's on cooldown, Radiant. The base. But he still has to keep tabs on these ages. Lower and lower for the network, continuing to stack up for the Meepo, so it looks like he's happy. Just sacrificing life and getting back out with ease on top of the real Meepo, which, where is he? Okay, he's down in the lane.
He made sure to send it way back. That was the one that they were X-marking the entire time, just to make sure that if their edges did pop, you're not just going to be like slammed to this. Mizu, even preemptively, was walking well away from that engagement. So,
Bounty.
yeah, again, just taking away all of the vision that they've got. They're going to need to be really unorthodox with some of their ward positioning here, because if you just place it high ground, yes, it does provide you with that feeling of goodness for a little bit, but it's not going to last long.
Smoked up. Okay, I'm only one showing the lane at the moment. Ready, have a really good ward around the area, so this is the ideal place to take an engagement. Nigma Galaxy Southeast Asia, I believe they saw the Wraith King smoked under the ward. I didn't see any pings, but was underneath the Dire Observer. I think I really just want to see Radiant, like that's what I'd want them to do, like take fights continuously around your own vision, because now, like you just said, like you get a little bit of a good feeling when you drop the ward on the high ground, but it's going to be dewarded in a minute, so you have to get used to play that much of an obvious observer.
Yeah, you got to protect the vision as much as possible.
Oh.
Maybe it's just a case of, look, we just need to try and buy time just for that little bit extra. I mean, the plate mail is going to be available on Wraith King's courier again in 10 seconds. He's got enough gold to be able to buy the remaining components of it. Maybe he wants level 20 as well, but I mean, that actually could be pretty significant. The cleave against the Meepo might be the extra little bit they need to be able to take him down. Not a fan of Ohio just walking in here. You got to give all of that experience over to Ghost.
Still falling really behind on the Agnums too. Could be such a key item, because Dire have been pretty lack of a lot of their bursts through the Echo.
So yeah, Mizu doesn't go for that Echo Slam, does he?
Do they?
Illusion!
What's the way just in time? He'll be able to BKB if he needs to, and he can also walk across the fissure. Let's remember that.
I was just gonna say, have Radiant got a spider legs? That's what I was looking for now, but unfortunately, not as fortunate. Some of their neutral items. I mean, we've seen how these fissures can really put a dent in how they're looking to set up their formation in their team fights. You have
all right.
Some items are starting to be picked up, aren't they? Though.
Complete cleave talent online. Sonic Wave, I guess, available, and of course Grimstroke with the Ig Swell. It does a lot. Like, you need to make sure that this is on top of. I would honestly put it on the Quap. I would put it on Zillern and just get him to blink right on in. It's only a 5.3 second cooldown on the blink. You're going to have the BKB. You're going to have the extra armor coming through from the Assault Cuirass. So you're not going to be in too much danger of dying. Plus the fact that you know that you're going to have the healing component coming through from that Grimstroke Aghanim Shard. We've got an Octarine core on Grim here.
Bounty!
How's he farm the Octarine?
That's all he's got. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Alright.
Look. Roche, potential for respawning. It's an instant Roche. It's an instant Roche.
Definitely see the direction is proved away. They have some recognition, but Roche is still going to get obliterated. All this minus armor. Oh no, not again. What do we get? Refresher. Give that one over to Mizu. Let's see if Radiant stick around. They might surprise them. They got two really good observer wards around their triangle, but starting fights once again is very difficult. It's only single target initiation, and straight away scout it out. I mean, the power of the rocket flare.
Like, if it does go that late, it's going to get even worse, right? Because Clockwork's going to be level 20. Then you've got that rocket flip. Know if they've got vision on the high.
Never saw me, right?
How's he got eyes? How is he so far?
It's a good hero, man.
Oh boy. I really struggle to see how they take fights against Fissure, double cogs, double hook shot. There's just so much BKB piercing control, and also just like call the like ground placement abilities like affected BKB piercing control as well. Just you can't reposition, like you're stuck in a proximity.
Roaming around here on the bottom side of the map with his invis rune, just trying to catch out anyone that might be trying to farm, but Case just brings his clones here to make sure that you're constantly pushing out as well. The bonus as well, right? You've got multiple ways now. Yeah, take the same path.
Setting up on Ghost. Ahaya still without the Aghanims. He's got BKB at the ready. 4-star as well, but Collison, great target prioritization. He's going to look to jump the backline, but Ghost has been able to pop the BKB, but still, they're ripping apart the backline. Two supports going. BKB, super defensive. It's just a hope to get out to safety. But look at the awareness. I mean, just jump the support. Get rid of the Grim, get rid of the Weaver, and that's the best you can do. Mizu even popped the refresher for a double fissure.
Don't hate it. I mean, if it's what's going to finally end you this game, despite the fact that it's been a 90+% win probability for the past 20. You take it. Now level 25 as well on the Meepo. Just wanting to go all in on the survivability. They're not lacking in damage right now. You just saw that Jokan was able to pump out so much with that level 3 of the Morpheus Kisses.
How did he kill anyone? 4200 health on Conker, 3700 on Meepo, not to mention he's got Ages. Both your positions, sorry, both your supports have over 2200. And you're like, what's going on? They're so tanky. What is this, 4 strength heroes?
Yes. 4 strength heroes. Very, very cool, very balanced. I mean, going in for the initial part of the draft, we were thinking that it was going to be 496. That was hard to kill, but if you let the net worth differential get so far in Nigma Galaxy's favor, like they did, then it's always going to make things so much more difficult for yourselves. And, you know, the tier 1 tower is still standing. This should not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the speaking about earlier, that Spawn.496 had to put a lot of emphasis on converting these Elder Dragon forms to towers. You have to get into the jungle early and start to infiltrate. And we saw they had that game plan though. Like at the very start of the game, they were looking to place as many sentry downs and observers and really position themselves to scout out the stacks. But after that, yeah, we just didn't see any conversion after that.
42,000 net worth, 43 minutes in. I've always been an advocate of if it's past 20 minutes and the net worth is equal to the number of minutes played, it's probably going to go in favor of that team. 496. They're not wanting to tap out, obviously realizing that every single win, percent chance, chance to maybe try and wait for that overwhelming blink, but Nigma Galaxy not wanting to give him the opportunity.
Set up on Ghost. Force some reactions out early. Once again, they'll jump the backline. Straight on top of the Grim Stroke. They've got the buybacks. This could be the way back into the fight, but we're going to push Ghost further outside the base. Takes some time away. with the respawn, he's still got the BKB, but he doesn't have any extra assistance at the moment as Ghost is using this defensively to reposition himself. But the rest of Gaia, they're committed heavily here. They've lost to Earthshaker along with the Clockwork. Alacrity still has the Ages in the arsenal with In Your Dream standing hand in hand as well. Afraid, but Alacrity, let's see what he can do with the second round. It's going to jump on forward. They'll push Grimstroke to the western side, but the Meepo is slowly falling, and finally they'll bring down Alacrity. So 496, like you said, I mean, you're going to make him work for it. We might have a long game here, but every single game matters. They'll take it to the end.
It's a lot of buybacks though. 3 buybacks on Weaver, Grimstroke, and the Wraith King. So even though he was able to be part of that kill towards the end onto the Meepo, doesn't actually do anything for his net worth. He's right where he was prior to that fight. So a little bit of a win condition for Nigma Galaxy, despite the fact that you were finally able to kill Alacrity. Was starting to come in handy a little bit there. Away from the overwing blink.
Oh, not the gobble up. Okay, I just thought that was just going to do a lot more. It is against a DK. I'm just excited, you know, the anticipation of
structures are fortified,
because we haven't seen in some time.
Will they get the tower? Still going for kills. Surely you just take this tower. Thank you.
I tell you what though, probability, it's not 0% anymore.
Okay.
So Denog, I'm saying there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance. All right. I believe you.
Is it a 5% chance though? That's a good
I feel like
question.
it's a 2. It's gone up from 1 to 2.
You'll take him? It's getting a little bit better, at least in regards to the odds. Meepo definitely slowly losing his timing, but when you're, what, 9k ahead at the enemy's position 1, definitely feels like your timing goes a little bit later, considering you're not neck and neck in net worth.
And you to get some of these neutral items. You know, they've been available for 9 minutes, and they just finally claimed the last 3. So, yeah, they're not the greatest ones overall. The Spell Prism given over to the Quap is nice, and looks like they're going to be taking the Grimstroke. Don't hate it. He just needs to make sure that he's not the target of the hook shot. All of these different engagements. The overwhelming blink. There's a blink dagger as well.
Yeah.
Or Xiao Bonbon, so he's going to make sure that he's just staying completely in safety and then looking to join in with that Ink Swell onto... I still want it to go onto Zilla, especially now that he's got the Spell Prism. It just provides him with so much extra layers of security. You know, you're going to have the AoE Shadow Strike, you're going to have a Blink on less than a 5-second cooldown, plus the Dispel coming through from the Ink Swell with the Ag Shard, plus the healing from that, plus all of the all the damage that you're able to output with the Scream of Pain.
Like you're saying. So this could be, who knows, maybe you strand another team fight together and Ohio, these Aghanims could kind of catch them off guard. Maybe you overkill on one hero, you're now caught out of position and you're almost caught with your pants down and you don't know how to reset. They're running towards Alacrity, so, oh no, no. Boy's out.
I mean, the base is getting pushed, and no one's defending it, so they kind of know, although Mizu
have to take this abuse.
walking pretty damn bravely up into their base, considering he doesn't have buyback.
Say hello to my lesser friends.
Mizu's even got a refresher. Any next items we see getting picked up for Dire, surely? Alacrity's got a double Scotty. Very cool, very cool.
It's all about the stats, man.
Crying out loud. This is a
Selling
real
those Dragon Lancers, not needed.
There he goes.
But they gave him the Philosopher's Stone. Interesting. Surely there's another item. Does he need more net worth? My guy is cruising up top.
I mean, he was holding a P for the longest time.
Was he actually?
Yeah.
6 stats, baby. It's so important. What else would you take, honestly?
Not much.
Alright, Radiant, they're smoked out. Maybe you'll take Yokam. A little bit disconnected here from the Snapfire, but he's goddamn tanky. He's got some survivability items too. But 80 seconds without the Snapfire.
Learn up onto the high ground. He's just a bit of an observer ward right now. Unfortunately, for 496, they're not going to be lucky enough to get that instant Roche respawn. It's a minute away. They're actually going for a bit of a reverse wraparound here.
Ohio's going to lead the charge. He's really vital to the lineup at the moment with the Aghanim's Alacrity trying to prioritize him as well because Sakuchi furthers the positioning from Ohio, but now they're straight on top of Alacrity too. The AoE damage starting to rack up with the help of the run buff. It's the Maple alive. They're trying to target the E-Blade. Not enough. He's gone, but Buyback looking to rejoin the fight as Mizu drops the slam, jumping over the top on the Wraith King. That's over the 35 Alacrity back in the fray as well, but it looks like this time Nigma Galaxy Southeast Asia will clean up the team fight. As they're looking to catch up the stragglers as Ghost down to the northern side, Queen of Pain on the high ground as well. Watch able to make it out to safety with the buyback coming back into the play. But Poverson, perfect use of the reposition will give no opportunity for Ghost to turn it back around. And the Grimstroke will also be killed off in front of the Roche Pit.
Very nice.
Well, there the slam nearly ended up killing him. But again, Roche respawns just as they win the team fight. Costs a few buybacks, but again, if Alacrity is able to grab this Aegis, he's totally happy with that kind of trade happening. Dream being one to grab the Aghanim's Blessing, and they should be able to just walk it down and end this game, considering the buybacks previously used in that in the old fight.
Is he going Rapier?
It heals like
Injuring, have it queued up. Let's go pick it up. Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Just wants to end the game real quick.
And you know Ghost doesn't have buybacks, so well, this is looking like a
Radiant
GG right here.
their structures.
Actually, crazy things.
He's just blocking off the base here, Mizu. Not wanting anyone to even attempt to try and defend this.
Come on, lads, I believe. Come on, let's go. Last attempt. Oh no, Nigma Galaxy. Off our first series with their map victory. Really just staple performance for them. You get a classic hero with the Meepo and Alacrity, and he'll put work in.
Oh, for sure.
Dire team ban. Radiant team's turn to ban. Dire team's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team's turn to pick. Radiant team's turn to pick. Yeehaw! Radiant team's turn to pick.
Grim.
Dire team's turn to pick.
Clockwork.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
We saw the value of all of that vision open with what carry you might want to play, right? It leaves one of those ranged cores at
Dire team's turn to ban.
mind for or an Arc Warden or a Drow Ranger as a...
Are you a fan of them just going back into Ghost Wraith King in the 8th pick? I was imagining they'd go for another core because it seems like they're pretty comfortable with that. But I wasn't really...
5 seconds remaining.
I was impressed with the Wraith King, and so I wasn't really expecting just to go back into it.
I can't think of many other heroes that I would be more terrified having run at my face than a Wraith King as a Dark Portrait Illusion. Nuts, the amount that it's able to do, both in terms of damage, it's spell immune, so there's nothing that you can do to be able to run away from it. It's kind of crazy, and any kind of situation where the Wraith King needs to take his attention away from his main target to divert it to something like an illusion, key illusion at that, then it feels very rough, right? And also just going at this early on, yes, they're banning out a few of the counters. I believe these are the exact same counters, bans that they had in the second phase as last game. The third one was Shadow Fiend.
5 seconds
I don't know,
remaining.
it just feels like they are leaving themselves open to get countered again if they are going to go too single target focused. They've got the Snapfire, which is very good AoE, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of putting them in a corner that they probably
Radiant
didn't
team
need.
ban.
I think now as well you're giving up all the team fighting pairings with the Snapfire. Ours is gone, Tidehunter's gone. We saw that was a bit of a concern for Spawn.496 in game 1, and now even the Magnus is gone as well. So, like, yes, I guess you can now, like, Wraith King can jump in, just blow one hero up. Nigma Galaxy C they can probably itemize for 4 staffs to reposition against the Kisses, but this is not... Dota really feels like right now it's a battle of who's got the better team fight. It really feels like it comes down to a lot of these 5-on-5 engagements, and there's not as many lineups that really thrive on just the back of pickoffs. So I think it's something that Spawn.496 have to keep in the back of their mind through the second.
I want to see Nigma Galaxy pick up their offlaner right now, because I don't mind the Earthshaker. Like, they were effective, obviously, last game with it. I was just kind of thinking they've banned out a lot of these offlaners from the Tide, the Magnus, Darkseer, they're all gone. Doom is the one hero that's left, and yes, Doom is nice with the Grimstrokes, but you don't really want to be doing it into a raid. It's one of those heroes that you don't get the same value out of it because of the reincarnate. So I was thinking, like, what sort of offlaner can they pick that isn't going to be on the front lines getting doomed to start the fight? I feel like Mizu's positioning was pretty damn good that entire game. Very rarely was he picked off, and constantly just wanting to jump in as that second or third wave of initiation into a team fight, which means that either you're holding Doom for the Earthshaker, which might never come because you're just going to get chain lockdown, or you're having to search super deep for it, and then you can just get picked off in turn. I don't hate the Earthshaker pick. The question is, what are 496 going to go for with their offlane? Because that Dragon Knight did not get enough done.
I wouldn't hate a Rubik combined with this hero. This looks like a really good Rubik game. You telekinesis out of cogs, stealing the Earthshaker fissure. I think Grimstroke abilities are great to steal, having at least one ability that can shove out lanes. And a Wraith King stat find lane sounds pretty strong as well. You can actually mana first the Earthshaker, where we saw in game 1, Nigma Galaxy C had a really strong lane versus Wraith King. That's kind of the issue with the Weaver. I guess Ahai was putting a lot more emphasis on really moving to the triangle and trying to be a little bit of a nuisance to Alacrity, so maybe this game could be different, just he'll play with the Wraith King, but it looks like a good hero here.
Yeah, and the other thing is with this Night Stalker pick, it also takes away the potential for Mizu to just stay in the fog right off to the side at Dark Ascension. Essentially, the entire battlefield is revealed to you in any kind of engagement, so you're not going to have quite as much of a surprise factor. Maybe it might be a Night Stalker that goes into something like an urn, just so that you're able to get that ticking onto the Earthshaker. You don't need to finish up the full agony, the full Spirit Vessel, just to prevent that extra layer of initiation. It might mean that, you know, your Wraith King or whichever hero they end up going as their mid laner is able to commit just that little bit further.
And I like it as well because we saw the Clockwork Flare, like we spoke about it a little bit in game 1, and how like leveling it up gives you a little bit more value and the vision it can provide. Now Spawn.496 have gone for a hero to enable their own vision, and like you said, Mizu had an exceptional game 1 and he's set up for another pretty good game. I mean, he's going to have a good lane overall if it's anything like what we saw in game 1. So just having a hero that can really be a big issue to the Earthshaker, I think is really key here.
Think of what hero they can go. Like, the Clockwork is decent for vision, right? But my main concern for Nigma Galaxy right now is this Grimstroke. Like, it is imperative that you get the Soulbind off onto the Night Stalker just to lock him in place, basically. Because as soon as he pops that Dark Ascension, or hell, even if it's just at nighttime, he just wants to be running at the backlines. And if you're able to slow him down by pairing him together with something slow, whether it be the Wraith King or the Ogre Magi, then done a lot of your job in being able to prevent the backlines from having a lot of the harass coming in onto them. So the question is, who's going to get found out first? And right now, as soon as that Dark Ascension's popped, the vision advantage does favor 4-9.
How are you feeling about the Pia getting picked up? I know we've seen this hero rise in popularity a little bit over the past couple of tournaments, especially in the qualifiers. We saw it a decent amount, but are you a fan of it at the moment?
I don't hate it. I mean, it's one of those position ones that, again, you're not popping everything to jump onto a Wraith King, right? Like, you take him out twice in quick succession. So, the other thing is, Night Stalker, of course, does want to be constantly spamming out his Void in the lane, and that just means if you buy just a magic stick, you're always going to be healthy enough to be able to fire that dagger off. It means that you're not going to be taking too much harass in the laning stage, although the Clockwork, I feel like Possum was doing a really good job in game number 1 and preventing that happening from a melee hero in the Kunkka anyway.
We are looking for both the position 2s from either team. He learns along with Alacrities. When you have this 24th pick, so Spawn.496 gonna have to keep in mind at least a hero that can play into a bit more of a rougher matchup.
That's twice now that they actually had the last pick, so I believe
5 seconds remaining.
this time around, but for whatever reason, 496 aren't valuing the second pick quite as much. I feel like it is really important towards the start of these tournaments, just as the meta is kind of not completely understood. And it feels weird to say because we've been on this current patch for just over a month now. But I feel like you always want to have that flexibility to be able to respond to what another team is doing so that you don't get last pick meepoed like we saw in game number 1. They're gonna, you know, try and dissuade that with going with a good spread of magic and physical damage.
Is there any flaws in the draft from Nigma Galaxy that need to be covered with the Alacrity hero?
I mean, they've got backline close with a Night Stalker. It's not instant, right? So my just big thing is, how effective is it going to be to go something that you want to close in onto their backline? Right now, they're lacking a significant amount of tower push. That's my big thing. But what really can you do into a Leshrac? TA, it's very greedy. Yes, the minus armor synergized PA, which is kind of nice, but Leshrac will do really well against you in lane with the Diabolic Edict and the Pulse Nova, and something like the I was about to say the Dragon Knight doesn't do great either, but at least the Shadow Fiend, you could look to spam out those waves, you could trade farm with Zillone, and you have a decent time in being able to take these powers. Of course, the presence of the Dark Lord as well just buffs up the Phantom Assassin in that room.
So I've been seeing Shadow Fiend in some of the streamers pubs as of late. They've been playing in the safe lane, like a really interesting build where you just go 1 point raise and maxing out everything else, the Necromastery along with the presence of the Dark Lord, and putting a lot of emphasis to this is a hero that can really rack up the damage. Not a route that I was thinking they were going to go down. They're pretty single target on Nigma Galaxy with the PA, the Shadow Fiend, Clockwork as well to mention. I'm a big fan of Spawn.496 draft. I think you've got a lot here in regards to tower taking potential and mixing damage. Maybe their only concerns at the moment is I think a lot of the is going to come off the back of red on the Night Stalker, but I think he's going to have a good lane. Like, you're against the PA Clockwork. I think it might be better having like a honestly, do you argue? I'm actually on the Clockwork, so I like that a lot more. I thought
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the concerns, the only ones, big ones that I see, excuse me, for 496 with their overall draft is you can sort of just run away from them. Like, there's nothing really to try and hold people in place. Like, you know, you've got the cogs, you've got the fish. Or running away themselves if there's any kind of engagement put onto them. Basically, the only hero that can do that pretty easily is the Night Stalker. Somewhat optimistic about 496's draft. I think the way that they'll need to play it, I think Alacrity needs a very good game overall, and I feel like he needs to use the Requiem of Souls. It's hard, right? Because in the early game, you are the damage dealer for your team. Everything is on the back of Alacrity with a little bit given over to Paulison. But outside of that, the damage is not going to be coming, especially if you've got this PA going into the Battle Fury. She needs to farm. Like, yes, you can join into a team fight and do a little bit of damage, but for the first 20 minutes, let's say, it's going to be heavily based around Alacrity. So you're kind of in two minds, where you want to be using the Requiem to save your own backline when the Night Stalker dives, but you need it to deal the damage that you need to win the team fights as well. So I feel like the Galaxy are going to play quite a passive game, and if they're able to get to that 20-minute mark without having lost too much, I think they're going to be feeling pretty confident.
So do you think that Alacrity will get away from maybe not going the magic build and snowballing potentially, or getting active early? Because it looks like he's got Dragonlance queued up. So do you like this itemization that we're seeing from the Shadow Fiend?
I do, because the magic damage build doesn't help you take towers, right? It also means that you're going to be a lot tankier so that you can kind of stand and fight in a few of these earlier engagements. So I definitely feel like this is the right build to go.
And it does seem like, I mean, the Leshrac is going to struggle early against the Razors. This is more than likely we'll see Silone go for like a 2-0-2 build. Whenever you're not against the melee hero, you put a little bit more emphasis on your Lightning Storm just to help with your harass and your CS potential. But it definitely needs to have the Edict kind of starting to put some more emphasis in it once he hits around, you know, level 5 and so on afterwards. But I do like, again, though, that they put the Grimstroke with the PA down bot. I was worried that, because I think from either side, like the Night Stalker's not the strongest laner at all. So if you had PA Clockwork, then I feel like Red would have just gotten so much out of the first 5 minutes. And you don't want that versus Night Stalker. Like if he gets away with his weakest stage in the game, then it can set him up perfectly for a snowballing effect. And I think we both agree that this game is going to be pretty reliant on Red.
Yeah, entirely. Like the only way that you're going to get in onto these backlines is because I feel like a big part of this game for him is not only nullifying the effect of the supports, but also somewhat dealing with Mizu as well, so that he doesn't have what felt like a free game for him in game number 1. Just wanting to dodge this lane altogether. Ogre Mad, strong hero. I feel in these days, Ignite is slept on massively by a lot of players. The amount of damage that you can dish out, even as a position 5, is insane.
And this looks like a Veil build, right?
Yep.
This is an incredible Veil game. Snap, Lesh, even the Night Stalker, I suppose, with the Void. Yes, I mean, if a hire can get that farm, but it just... Like, another thing we didn't really mention in the draft is that Dire have a little bit more amplification and steroids as First Blood in Your Dream picked up down bottom. Advantage.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that, though. Like,
I blame you. It's on your fault.
Right? I was about to say, the PA is, like, an insane laner. You know,
It's going to go down mid as well. I got that one. It's all good. It's all good. That's a big kill to find. 1-1-2. Like maybe Lightning Storm catch him out with a Split Earth, so wasn't expecting that kill as well.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I think he was looking to maybe try and go steal the bounty rune, but Jokem is patrolling around the area and making sure to build up a few stacks for the Shadow Fiend. Obviously, even though stacks not quite as strong as they used to be, like that's the sort of meta that the Galaxy dive in.
But definitely a team that likes to play the macro game. Just as many stacks as possible. Trying to really ramp up your cores farm as best as you possibly can. Side lanes are taking a lot of damage in the Dream. Very low. Do you think about diving? Big creep wave.
Maybe it might have been worth just using the Void, not actually right-clicking at all, just to get rid of the healing cell, but it range, so I can understand why I didn't do it. Again, the fact that they were able to... I mean, honestly, the Snapfire dying on the bottom side isn't even the worst. It means that Red was able to get a little bit more of that solo experience, considering they'd used a lot of resources to kill the Snap. Giving up First Blood, never good, but at least what I feel is like your early to mid-game win condition is having his experience secured.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
It does seem though like it's a very different game here for Spawn.496. Looks like you've secured Ghost Lane, like you'll bring up earlier, just the fact that Mizu kind of has to play off the back of the creep, your equilibrium, and just trying to drag the creep wave all the way behind the tower, because he can't really go head to head in a matchup like this. So this would definitely prevent the Earthshaker from getting as good of a blink timing as we saw. But even down bottom, I mean, Red, he's only got 15 last hits, so you'll see he's still kind of struggling in that regard.
He's still a little bit ahead of the Earthshaker at least, right? Like, he's had to try so many of these little creep manipulation plays on Mizu. Some have worked out, some haven't. A little bit odd that he's been the one going for it, though, when you've got Jokem here in the lane. Clockwork, a very speedy base movement speed, and he's going into the early Tranquil Boots, or he finished them up, actually. He's able to manipulate this quite easily. But in the meantime, Ohio, he's not wasting his time. He's spending it making sure that he's building up a few stacks for his Leshrac as well. Really, it's the race between Alacrity and Zillern to see who is going to be that presence that their team can look to rally around at the, let's say, the 10 or so minute mark. the 2 points in the diabolic edict right now, so nothing really enough to do too much damage to this mid tower, even if Zillan was able to push it in quite heavily.
I think this is a big time though for 496. Like, seeing how much they can get out of the first night time is Red, in fact, is getting brought down as Nino Dream and Polish. The Nino Dream's a very high level at the moment, already up to 5. His lane, 27 last hits, 2 kills, is having a really solid start to this game.
Kami-sama doing a very good job here on the bottom side of the map. One of his signature heroes for sure. Pick that one up. He might look to even try and deny a little bit more of that experience away. Pulling the hard camp, might even get the stack off into the next wave. Yeah, just making Nightstalker's life even more difficult. Now that he's level 4 though.
Got a bit of a battle going on. Leshak and Zhao Bonbon. This Cookie set up. I think the clock was just trying to scout out some jungle stacks and scouting out, trying to prioritize picking up the rune here for the Shadow Fiend.
He's able to claim it, even just feeding the mangoes over his Xiao Bonbon over to his Leshak. Obviously, just wanting to enable him as much as possible. This goes down on the top side, and that's a big win considering you had 2 people rotating down towards this bottom side of the map. Got the nighttime advantage. Game sense coming through there from Dream. Actually, he just saw them underneath the ward. It's nothing to do with game sense. I'm talking out my ass right now, but they are able to take away one of these biggest stacks. So Zillan still having a good time.
High as well. I mean, you just see max to perfection, trying to put the support mid, get a little bit of experience, a little bit of gold in a lane where your position 2's vacated the area. Doing his best to keep that tower alive as well. I again really want to see Dai start to use his first nighttime as Zillan connecting with Red down bot. Phantom Assassin is a hero that cannot farm the jungle at a rapid rate as with them coming up here. Carnation on Ghost. Is a fair way away from the tier 1. Reinforcements coming at a little delayed timing here. The Cookie's enough to reposition Ghost to safety, but in your drink, no, not gonna matter. As Mizu getting to level 6 and that sets up for a beautiful Echo Slam as they find a second kill. But Red's now gonna show up to the party. He's got this Dark Ascension ready to rock and roll with the extra damage, but they still gotta be cautious because the Grimstroke combined with the Phantom Assassin is no joke of a combination. The Red, the moment pushing Radiant further and further back.
Dire's middle tower is under
It's Mizu again having such a big impact, right? The fact that you were able to get the kill on the Wraith King, plus force everyone that was taking this tier 1 tower to rotate towards the top side, is a big win, right? Like, I thought, okay, they're just going to go the 1-for-1 trade. It's not too big of a deal because it's just going to respawn pretty quickly, but they don't even take this tower, and now something like a Clockwork is able to defend it a little. Try and make a bit of a play himself alongside Alacrity. Join him up together with the use of that haste rune. He's got his Requiem of Souls available as well, so maybe looking to try and set up here again around Mizu, that he's able to defend this tower as quickly as possible.
I need the rest to die to connect down bottom as well. Again, I need these early conversions on towers. Gonna catch out Alacrity at the moment. Zillan's looking to connect as well, but Alacrity's gonna be cautious. He doesn't have time to catch up the Requiem. As a Cookie, great position from Snapfire, sweeping on over from the western side. As now they'll surround the Clockwork. He's just gonna go for a straight heads up TP, but the stun's ready up and available once again as 496 to bring the whole crew down bottom, and the Goons find 3.
That's exactly what they needed. Now they can transition that through into the tower. For Presence of Mind, I don't know if that was an intended bait or not, because it was quite a clever movement, right? Like, the Clockwork TP's away from the lane. He does it under vision so that they can see him doing it, and then smokes alongside the Shadow Fiend with the haste. You probably wouldn't expect the Clockwork to come all the way back, so maybe it was a case of 496 just being in the right place at the right time, but it's going to work out really nicely for him.
Were those cracks in Dire's top
What are we
tower?
looking for Nigma Galaxy here on how they can make plays? Is it going to be really off the back of the Clockwork? Because, again, it feels like
Dire's
Mizu
top
hasn't
tower
had
is
a
under
game.
attack.
His laning stage was not as sound as what we saw in game 1. So who's going to be the hero here to really enable the playmaking from Nigma Galaxy?
Beating on Dire's top tower.
I mean, it's going to have to be the Shadow Fiend, right? Like, again, Alacrity is so much is on his shoulders right now. He's died a couple of times, which is never ideal as a
Dire's
Shadow
top
Fiend. You
tower
can
is
really
under
only get
attack.
away with I would say these 2 deaths before like the 15-20 minute mark.
Top lane, they're gonna jump deep on Ogre. Once again, the rotation's starting to flock on out as the Phantom Assassin now stuck behind the tower. You cannot be giving up your life like this on a hero like the PA, someone who, when you can start to fall behind.
At least the mid's pushing in though with the siege creep. Like this is exactly what Alacrity needs to do. He needs to try and be creating space in this fashion. Making the scan come through. Not going to clip onto Zillone, but should here on Alacrity. See though, even with those couple of deaths, he's opened up a tiny little bit of a experience lead over him. I believe he just smoked as it turned into daytime, and they even had the observer ward there as well, so they know exactly the fact that they're looking to make this sort of play once more.
Looks like they're setting up for it too.
Yeah, know that the Dark Ascension was used on the top side, so with red showing on the lane, try and make some sort of play through. Zhao Bonbon, good positioning though, gets the double stun off as well. Makes them think twice about going up onto that high ground, and this isn't exactly where In Your Dream wants to be either, right? Like, you're just a PA, you can't really take this tower all that easily. The Blightstone's only going to be so effective. I feel like without Alacrity there to back you up, they're alive pretty damn easily.
Are those cracks in Dire's top tower?
Looking to backstab up top. Run straight into Polison first. SCPs of the Yule Scepter, however, Celestial's going to be cautious now without this in the arsenal as they're going to pounce, recognizing the weakness. Zillone is penalized for the heavy commitment here, and well, now this top tower should be open to claim.
I feel like that was just a really good reaction coming through from Nigma Galaxy. They weren't aware of that kill attempt. I don't believe. He also had a really good observer ward down there to spot out any kind of TPs coming through, but it was just that instant reaction coming through from the supports, able to save.
Top tower has fallen.
This time around, like last time, we've got Yokam going into the rocket flare being maxed out. Just the 2 points in the battery assault. Again, I like it because you're up against the snapfire. It's not easy to get that battery assault chained in onto people, so you may as well just look to try and maximize your damage, particularly against the Wraith King, when you can just spam out this rocket flare against these pesky skeletons and prevent a lot of this ghost push from coming into your side of the map.
Those cracks in Dire's top tower?
We're seeing another drums as well in the clockwork. What do you feel like this is able to provide maybe the hero and the team?
Incoming!
It's not quite as good as it was last game, just because with the drums, obviously with the Meepo, it provides a great extra layer of damage potential. This time around, it does feel like the only ones who are really going to be right-clicking by the time he picks it up is himself and the Shadow Fiend. PA's still going to be wanting to run somewhere.
Alacrity trying to charge up the Requiem. They're a little bit too far away to get mass usage out of it, but so Yokam just runs away. Okay, this clockwork keeps his life, and look at the kill on the snap fight too. So Spawn.496, unfortunately, a casualty in their regard, and they pop Dark Ascension to no avail.
Going to be, well, how long left? About 10 or so seconds, so you'll have a minute of daytime. See if Nigma Galaxy are looking to make a play around that. What have they got coming out to the career? It's just the Mithril Hammer, Dragon Lance plus Mithril Hammer. Good amount of damage. Hell, even the PA realizing this is a big window for them to try and make something happen around this mid lane. Even if it's just taking the tier 1 tower, I feel like you're going to be happy with that as an objective while it's the daytime.
Boom! There it goes!
Surprising, to be honest. Feel like you've got this window that you want to be taking advantage of as much as possible. Mizu trying desperately to finish up that Blink Dagger.
Dire's middle tower isn't
Easy
going to
hold,
last
I would say.
long.
Not hold. Take of the objective.
Dire's middle tower just went down.
Now it's just the question of how long do you stay?
Crack it on!
Planted up a couple of these. What's inside the enemy base, as well as a couple of sentries as well. But positioning himself towards the top of the stairs, making sure that any kind of smoke attempt that happens, they're going to be the ones that catch it out before Alacrity's Shadow Fiend.
I mean, we've got a very even game at the moment, and kind of slowing this pace down. 16 kills, 15 minutes in, but who does this game favor at the moment with the status quo? Is Raiding a little bit more happier with the slower pace? At Dire content that they're going to hit their timing shortly?
the fact that you haven't lost your mid tier 1 tower against a Leshrac, pretty damn significant, especially considering you've got a P.
Mizu.
Mizu though.
Definitely. Great use to the observer ward placed previously.
And the thing is, you can't buy back to defend this, right? Like, this tower, you have to let it go with Zillion being able to take it. So it's a big win coming through the rocket flare, just revealing him for a second. Tower is able to hit him. This should be a pretty easy take for 496.
You were just speaking about the importance of the Leshrac needing to take these early tier 1 towers, especially mid, and align up that Radiant a little bit more greedy in the regard of having a PA and a Shadow Fiend. So this will open up the map now for the next night time, but Radiant got some item timing starting to flock on for them as well. And BKB and a perfect use of the Soulblind combined up with a hook shot. They're all caught out in the river, so Alacrity can charge up the Requiem. They'll blow up Zillion. That's all they'll really get out of it. So a nice pick off, but more kills to come.
Mizu, they dropped a smoke for him inside the base. So he TP'd in, then used the smoke, and he's looking to try and catch someone out that might still think, okay, we can make a play while this Dark Ascension's up for the next couple of seconds.
Oh, they're gonna... Oh, they see it go straight away. Great rocket flare from Yokam.
It's left on that smoke, though. Mizu has to be careful with his positioning, and yeah, he's going to back off.
Radiant have been playing really well this series overall around their vision. Like, you see how they've got the ward mid and on top of the high gun, and they're going to continue to play around this. They're coming outside the base. They need to follow up with Mizu straight away. Gonna look to answer straight on top of Ghost. It's got the reincarnation ready and available. If they can pop them early, that would be a good start for Nigma Galaxy. Unable to do so with some solid armlet toggles. This also drags them out of the pit. How low was Roche? About a quarter health taken care of.
Really want to try and prioritize it as much as possible. They wanted to defend their high ground vision as well, but now that that's taken away, they're feeling a little bit more anxious.
Does Mizu just want to drop the ultimate? Snapfire is nearby, really good positioning from the support. And out of the southern side, even Red kind of angling for a way in, but
not yet. He needs that ultimate. You know, you need some sort of way to get in onto the backlines again. It's all about revealing the positioning of Mizu. It feels like he's the one that can look to turn this game on its head.
Again, Dark Ascension down for another 40. So how does the Night Stalker really get in the middle of the fight? Ghost is on the Vanguard, trying to lean the charge. Just took it, Paulson, but it's going to look to buy back instantly. But the Age is already claimed in the hands of Alacrity, but Radiant, they're splitting away from the area. Looking to get back once up to their higher ground. They can potentially take a fight around their control if they force 496 into a choke point, setting up for Mizu's Echo Slam. They're leading once again on top of the Wraith King, trying to tear the first life. There is Alacrity. He's pump faking the Requiem, but off to the southern side. It's a dive back for Polisson, so they won't have the Grimstroke now completely for this fight.
Nice armlet toggles coming through from Ghost. Again, just not giving Mizu the avenue that he needs to be able to get into this team fight. They had the vision advantage that time around. Still feeling somewhat cautious about wanting to make the extra move to go in. It was a good attempt by Grimstroke to try and rejoin that team fight, because it feels like as soon as they're locked in place, as soon as you restrict their movement just slightly, that's the window that Mizu needs to really make the big plays happen.
I mean, you hate to see it for Polo, having the die back there, but as a team aspect, you love him live. Alacrity finds Ages, more time to just farm up. Do you feel like this is mainly going to be like a defensive Ages, or could we see Nigma Galaxy maybe play a little bit more on the aggressive front here soon?
Maybe just looking to wait for the BKB on the PA. Honestly, wouldn't hate it if you just went all in for the Desolator, just so that, you know, you can go perhaps the presence or affects buildings, just for that extra little bit of tower taking potential, while you do have that just at your disposal.
I think it has to be said as well, just the complete different build we're seeing from Ghost. Like, he's playing a lot more pressure onto Nigma Galaxy with this blink extra armlet instead of the Radiance. Like, he's probably going to solo kill the Grimstroke once again. And this is just a completely different build. It's not this do-nothing Radiance rush after the armlet where you're just farming the jungle and farming for the first 22 minutes. Like now Ghost is top of the net worth, which with items that can farm, but also items that can fight. It really gives you the best of both worlds.
And push as well on top of that. Obviously the Desolator not quite as good as it used to be when paired together with the Leshrac, because Edict is pure damage instead of physical, but it just still provides so much to your team, especially when you can pop this army of skeletons. It means that the creep wave probably doesn't even die with this. It's just going to be the skeletons soaking up the majority of the damage. There we go. Backdoor still there. TP comes in from Shadow Fiend. Has to be careful.
Oh, in your dream. Just look at the pop Ghost at the moment. Alacrity as well joining the fray. That's early usages of the BKB, but it can set up for Alacrity's Requiem straight on round 2. As a blow up Ghost, the rest of Spawn.496 retreat away from the area, but it's a costly death nonetheless.
It is. I mean, I like the fact that they're going for that move, but you have to go for that move with your team around you, right? Like, you can't just make that easy engagement if the Snapfire's there laying out the Mortimer's Kisses on top of you, right? Like, you're not at this stage just yet where looking to heavy commit. I guess they did have the BKB, so that does give them that extra layer of safety that they were looking for. But, I don't know, it feels like maybe you get the save off afterwards to be able to...
Jump. What are you doing up here, my guy? You pull him down. Try and drag the kill into his hands. My guy's just being this Roman ward. Okay. The one nice thing as well for Radiant is that they definitely have ways to blow up Wraith King on the first life, and then second life you just charge up Requiem. Like, he did have Blink queued up. He's now going to the Silver's Edge. Oh, what a fission. Mizu instantly cuts the initiation into half, but Red's still able to close the distance. They're going to look to try and jump Alacrity, but once the BKBs are forced out for the Radiant cause, it's just going to force Dire back onto their side of the map as they can't stand their ground. But now that they've expired, they might try and find a different angle in. Jump in. Still another hook shot from Yokem as well on the mark as they've got so much control. It's so difficult for Dire to find an avenue into these fights.
Yeah. So patient. He was just standing there in this Shadow Amulet. No, he isn't AFKing in the mid lane. He was just making sure he was completely out of any kind of vision. They had no detection right now, so they didn't know exactly where he was, and it just left them in two minds. You know, they didn't know how deep they could go. They didn't know if they were going to get punished by the Earthshaker, and hell, even if they were on top of him, they had absolutely nothing. The only thing is on Yoga Magi, and he doesn't want to be that deep on the front lines. Seen the value out of this Veil of Discord either. I think it's an insane item.
Look at old Mizu just dropping a solo echo.
Why not?
You know what he does? He's just like, okay, in your dream, I'm gonna do all the damage, I'm gonna drop a big ultimate, I'm gonna just let you get the kill. You're my carry, Kami-sama all the way, let me set you up for a beautiful game. He's top of the net worth now, almost Desolated completed, and the damage is gonna start to ramp up as well, considering you've got maxed out presence of the Dark Lord, and almost level 12 for PA if she does want the armor corruption, so I'm gonna have to keep tabs on their armor as the game goes on.
It's even just gone for a little bit of a, I don't know if it was a kill attempt on Ohio on the top side. Very hard to kill an Ogre Magi. I actually just saw Ohio's build and he hasn't maxed out the Ignite. I'm not sure how big of a fan I am of that, especially if you go the Veil build. It is nuts the amount of damage that you're able to do with Ignite.
Ohio's gonna run straight into the Grimstrike, and once again the Soul Bind is making this team fight really difficult for the Night Stalker to propel himself around. Just a quick 1-2 punch as Nigma Galaxy again out of nowhere they bring the numbers, and now this little skirmish victory can be transitioned into another objective.
Desolator freshly picked up as well. Didn't go for the presence of the Dark Lord affect towers, but like the Shadow Rays damage, you're totally happy with that, especially prior to some of these BKBs coming online. It's only Night Stalker that's even remotely close to having his picked up. Lesh has got it coming out. No, there we go. Lesh finished it on the courier, so maybe that opens up a bit of a window. Wouldn't hate them seeing, wouldn't hate to see them wait for Ghost's level 3 ultimate as well.
It does feel like they've got issues right now with jumping some of the key components on Nigma Galaxy's lineup. Like, Earthshaker's doing so much with the minimal net worth that he had. Now his net worth is starting to grow a little bit, but Grimstroke's Soulbinds his past couple of fights been important, and all eyes on once again if they can find initiation, which they will. And rips apart again. DD, couple of crits, you love to see it. Leshak brought down to the grave. They'll kill off the Ogre too. I mean, it's just Nigma, Galaxy, Southeast Asia here in this mid game.
And that was with the BKB freshly popped as well by the Leshak. Towards the end, just trying to get that tiny little bit of extra safety, but work out too well for them. And yeah, they can't make these sorts of movements unless Red has the BKB. That's why they can't go in onto the backlines. And well, they've seen that he cancelled his TP. They might just look to continue pushing forward if they know that this Night Stalker isn't going to join. I mean, he's farming almost under vision right now. Here we go, even scouting him out there. Rocket going to pass over his head. Maybe even rotate back a little bit here. Joachim going on a little bit of a hunt. The Rocket Flare and In Your Dream looking to back him up.
I like this though. They're like, yeah, maybe we can keep chasing down the Night Stalker, but that could leave our wards vulnerable that were all placed aggressively. So let's just jump in! Oh, Mizu and In Your Dream again! Just blows up the Leshak. He was there all of a sudden off your screen. 496 just have no map to play through. Once again, it just really feels like when Nigma Galaxy C get any little bit of control, they use this to perfection, and they have a lead, they can close it out.
There is a small window now though for 496. You know that they don't have Aegis, you know that the Echo Slam is on cooldown, and very, very close actually has finished up the BKB now on Red. It's gonna actually reveal it in lane, so if they're really on point, able to scout this one out if they're just looking into his inventory. But try and keep this wave pushed in a little bit more. They wouldn't go for this dive, would they? They wouldn't.
Level 20, so it's got that extra minus armor.
They're
doing the calculation. Let's see if they got the damage. Yes, sir, they do. In Your Dream, my god. Goal-like at the moment. We've got a hook shot as well, catching our Ghost. They're trying to pop the early use of the reincarnation, which will do so successfully. Now the Lackery can charge up the Requiem. Straight on top of the round 2. Respawn is In Your Dream. Back again into the fray. A triple for your Phantom Assassin. Trying to give him the rampage as well. Jalab on one. He can scurry out to safety, but the rest of the team not as fortunate. The Phantom Assassin. He's going headhunting right now.
Dire's middle tower isn't going
and they're just going to continue pushing on forward. I feel like 496 are just going to wait until their ancient force. I don't think they called GG last game even after the fact, so it's a little rough, right? It feels like this. There were a lot of good individual plays. It just feels like, oh, okay, that's good something.
BKB's on cooldown. I love to see it. A little bit of creativity here for the boys on Dire.
Blur.
Still In Your Dream.
Oh,
Looking down to the southern side, Mizu's ready and waiting in the wings, but In Your Dream's gonna turn! Oh, it's just so goddamn fun! He's not even gonna die! I mean, that's 2 points in Ignite there for you. I think if he's got maxed out Ignite, he's dead.
There's no point in going for Veil from a purely like... If you're gonna max Fire Blast, like the damage ramp up that big. Ignites is huge, like going from, oh god, quick math, 180 damage to 400 damage from level 2 to level 4 is insane. And then you're buffed further with the Veil, plus you've also got the talent at level 10 to increase it further on top of that. It's just way too much to deal with, especially when you're able to, you know, cast it multiple times in a team fight with the use of that multi-cast.
And now he's even got the shot as well, more than likely. Such an incredible upgrade here for Pia. I really feel like this is a big reason why we're starting to see the hero. Like shot, Aghanim's been buffed up a little bit over time. Did he?
Maybe he gave it to Mizu. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Well, no, give it back. Maybe he'll give it to Shadow Fiend. Because I feel like it's not an amazing Phantom Knight team. It's not amazing.
Definitely, but like the damage is ridiculous. It's a lot. 16%. against the Night Stalker, even the supports as well. Like Snap's got 2200 health. I mean, Immortal Strike is great to get rid of.
Hold on. Okay, she's got the Ags. Yep. P8, use it.
Oh yeah, 100% now.
Nope, gives it over.
100%. Alacrity's almost got Arcane
having
Blink.
2 Fan of Knives, like just the more abilities that you have, the bigger value that
You get from the Blessing.
yeah.
Double attack.
It's gonna be another game where my 17,000 net worth lead after that tower. We did see some creativity though. Like Dire showed with that Aghanim's, which didn't even see getting queued up from the Snapfire. So yeah, maybe this could, it's not going to catch them off guard again because they've already had at least one fight not go to their favor off the back of it. But it really feels like this is what you're hoping on. Maybe Night Stalker with Dark Ascension can swing on, get on top of the Grimstroke, and then maybe gobble
Hasn't
up
happened
and,
yet. I'll say that much.
I
You
don't
know,
know.
like that. That's what needs to happen. You need to get in onto the backlines. You need to find Mizu. Team fight. But if you just buy the Shadow Amulet, if you use it on yourself, it doesn't have that 7-second cooldown. So you could just move away from any kind of sentry rewards that they've got and just stay completely out of vision until you want to take the team fight. So basically the only option that the Night Stalker has is to go for like a gem, and you're already dying so much and getting like
Shake things up.
PA and a Shadow Fiend that it's such a risky play to make. So really enjoying this itemization coming through from Nigma Galaxy.
And we've seen the impact from the supports as well from game 1 and game 2. Like the early game fights were really put to a halt thanks to the soul buying. There was just no way Dire could maneuver in these fights. Like Lesh, Night Stalker, even a Wraith King really rely on not getting kited. Like you rely on these abilities just to stay on top of the enemy and get a quick pick off and then transition that into more. But we saw the Soulbind do so much work. We've seen Yokem as well with how it's just been
Dire's
kind of
bottom
making
tower
these
is under
avenues
attack.
into the fights that much more difficult with his hooks and the cogs as well. So I mean, it's just been the supports to set up for a game where Kami-sama's been able to go 16-1 and 6.
I don't think he died last game as well. It was only 5
Dire's
kills,
bottom
but
tower is under
no
attack.
deaths is the thing that you want, especially. I mean, they're going to force some TPs coming back here from Ghost because you're losing your base, my man.
Radiant's top tower deserves some
One full
justice.
set to barracks already claimed,
Dire's
and
bottom barracks are under
I don't know
attack.
how I feel about them just walking in here. They're going to spin it away.
That's a nice start to the fight, but it's going to cost him the lives of the left track as well, who does not have a buyback. A 4-on-4, not including the ages as well, but the chain lockdown's perfect. They've wasted the BKB on the first life. Now Dire, all they need to do is to make sure they split up. Don't set up for the Echo Slam as Mizu. He's waiting the wings once again, trying to find the angle in, but the repositioning from In Your Dream is off to the outskirts and jumps back on. 2 with ease, and
Looks like Dire fortified
let's
their
just
top
see how they're able to reposition
Dire's
afterwards.
bottom barracks are under attack.
Mizu's just still waiting. He didn't even need to do anything in that team fight outside of, I believe, one Fisher.
Radiant's top tower
So,
deserves just as much
Looking
help as
real good,
Dire's bottom
continuing to
barracks
do
have
so
lost.
for Nigma Galaxy as they rotate towards the top side of the map. It's an exposed.
Radiant's top tower
They
is
would
under
try and go
attack.
in for the kill there onto Ghost, but no glyph remaining. Maybe now that Zillow is able to come back in, but just fallen way too far behind. They're going to go for one last attempt here. Another spin in, but he doesn't have the BKB.
Do it with flair.
See, when he finished up his previous item, and same sort of thing with the Yoga Magi going into the Ghost Scepter, I was kind of feeling that they needed a Aeon Disc instead, because it feels like whoever's dying first is just getting 100 to 0 first. Then the Ghost Scepter
He's just gonna jump. Does at the moment, still Ghost is trying to deal with the supports and clean off Robert on Mizu. He's finding the angle, drops
Double
the Echo
kill.
once again onto 2 heroes. Oh, they're just cleaning up house now with 3 down. In Your Dream is looking to continue to stack up the kills. Already over 20 at the moment on game 2.
Can't even
He's getting set up so perfectly for an exceptional game as Nigma Galaxy see. What a way to start Division 2 off with a clean 2-0 victory over Spawn.496.
exactly the way that you want to start things off, like you said. And yeah, not too much that you can